So what can I do if I don't have you? It's all about you, 'cause without you there's no me. I need a hand, 'cause I'm just a man. You're always there, teach me the way. I pray that I never fall away. Yeah, who are you? Yes, forever. Sing his praise, which dwelleth in Zion. Our Elohim, his words are perfect, and his kingdom will reign forever. So what can I do if I don't have you? It's all about you, 'cause without you there's no me. I need a hand, 'cause I'm just a man. You're always there, teach me the way. Pray that I never fall away. Yeah, who are you? Yes, forever. Sing his praise, which dwelleth in Zion. Our Elohim, his words are perfect, and his kingdom will reign forever. Yeah, who are you? Yes, forever. Sing his praise, which dwelleth in Zion. Our Elohim, his words are perfect, and his kingdom will reign forever.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live, good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando keeping it simple. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing this morning? Happy Sabbath day, happy Sabbath day. This is the day that the Most High have made, so let us be glad and rejoice in it. I just like to say good morning. You know, I hope everybody's doing well this morning. I hope everything is has turned out the way you wanted to be this week. I hope that you have gotten everything your heart desires. I hope that the Most High has given you and your children everything y'all have desired for. Whatever you ask in his name. I can't even remember how my week been this week. It's, you know, it has been an eventful week, but I can't really recall because it's, you know, my mind is going in so many different directions. To be able to understand a lot of things. You know, I can't even recall nothing, being honest with you. I'm probably just discombobulated a little bit. Just life, you know. But let us go ahead and turn to the book of Exodus, chapter 1, verse 1 through 17. And Exodus 1 through 17, chapter 21 through 17, and it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other Els before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the father upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and show mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, nor thy daughter, not manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers, that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mothers, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. Let us do Yahuwah's prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to your kingdom, power to your glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, Facebook Live. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. How's everybody doing again this morning? Like I said, I just been a little discombobulated this week. Just trying to stay focused, trying to figure out what the Most High is doing. And, you know, he's doing some things, a lot of things. He's doing a lot of things this morning. I mean, this week in this time. It's just that we have to understand that. But if you could turn to Jeremiah chapter 16. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14 through 21. Verse 14 through 21, and the key verse would be verse 19. The key verse is verse 19. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 19, and the key verse is verse 19. And it says, "And O Yahuwah, my strength, my fortress, my refuge in the days of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our father have inherited lies, vanities, and things wherein there is no there is no profit." There is no profit. I'm going to read that over. It says, "Yahuwah, my refuge, my fortress, my strength in the days of afflictions. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the end of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanities, and things there is no profit." The word inherited means a primitive root to inherit, a mode of descent, or generally to occupy. It is to divide, have, take as an heritage, cause to or give to or make to, inherit, distribute for, divide for. give for, have, leave for, take for inheritance. So what he's saying in this passage is that the Gentiles have recognized that lies have been passed down from generation to generation. Lies have been passed down from generations to generations. Even though they still participated in the lie, they know that lies have been passed down from generations to generations. Okay? The word testimony is a solemn declaration usually made orally by a witness under oath in response to an interrogation by a lawyer or authorized public official. First-hand authentication of a fact, an outward sign. The word punish means to impose a penalty on for a fault, offense, or violation. A violation to inflict a penalty for commission of an offense or retribution or retaliation. That's what punish means. Okay? Those are the two words that'll help you understand the text for today. Testimony and punish. And I'm going to read Matthew chapter 8. Matthew chapter 8 verse 11, and it says, and it reads, "And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into the outer darkness, and there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth." And Jesus said unto the centurion, "Go thy way as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the selfsame hour." But I want us to understand, I say unto you that many shall come from the east and west, and shall sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom. So understanding that many people will come and sit down with the Messiah from the four corners of the earth. That's why it says in the book of Exodus, the multitude left out of Egypt. Also in Revelation, there was a multitude of people that will be worshiping. But in this text here, the hard part about life sometimes is facing reality for what it really truly is. Facing reality for what it really truly is, and dealing with the reality. And sometimes you only can be able to deal with reality when it slaps you right in the face. And that is the hardest part for people sometimes, is to deal with reality when it slaps you in the face, because you've been living in an illusion for a long period of time. And when you live in that illusion for a long period of time, you're very comfortable in your reality. And you don't want, and you're comfortable in your reality, and you're complacent, knowing that the reality that you're living in is not real, but you want it to continue to stay the way it is because it makes you comfortable with where you are, even though you know it's not the truth. When he said the Gentiles inherited lies, the Gentiles have always known throughout history that the children of Israel is black. or yeah, that's the skin. The skin pigmentation was black because they're the ones who wrote all these commentaries. They are the ones that wrote all these different versions of the Bible, translations of the Bible, except for the King James. Even though they altered that one, they knew all these things. They knew what they knew what it was. But they decided to continue to live in that lie because it benefited them. And see, a lot of the times, people live in a lie because they know that the lie benefits them, even though they know that that lie is not good for them. It's like the hard reality for us is for Hebrew people in America, or the native people of the Americas, is that we have to deal with our reality. And our reality is that America sent over $800 million over there to the Ukrainian people. 350,000 want to send to the border. 450,000 to the Afghanistans. 20 million to Chinese people. 20,000 to the Japanese people, and billions of dollars each year to Israel. But they don't want to give you anything. That is our hard reality. But even though we know that that's our hard reality, we still want to live in the lie that we're living in, thinking that we're equal here in this, up under this system that we're under. That is the hard reality for us, because we don't want to deal with that. We rather continue to live in that lie, thinking that we have equal opportunities when we know we don't. That's the lie that's been passed down from generation to generation to generation to us. That's why they keep telling us to go get out there and vote, get out there and vote, get out there and vote, get out there and vote. Meaning that we continue to perpetuate a lie in society, knowing that voting does not benefit us as a people. Because you can look at the 13th and 14th, or you can just look at the 14th Amendment, us understanding that we are still considered to be slaves here in this Americas, but the hard reality is that we don't want to face that eye-opening event. We don't want to face the reality that we're still considered to be 3/4 of a man. But we want to live in an illusion that yes, we still have opportunities to be prosperous and things of that nature, even though we don't get the same benefits as foreigners when they come over here to Americas and they become U.S. citizens. That's the hard reality for us. The hard reality for us is that over 80% of our family households are ran by women. And our men have become feminized because they've been ran by women and not raised by men. And the hard reality for women is that 80% of women between the age of 30 to 50 going to be single in an old folks home if the Most High haven't came back. From the age of 50 to 80 going to be in a 30 to 50 going to be in a single living home by themselves without children, because they have not had children. And because most of them decided to pursue the physical and not keep the natural. And what I mean by that is, most women have decided to pursue businesses, cars, clothes, houses, and things outside of nature or their natural, and push down their natural, which is having children, being wives and being helpmates to their husbands. Most women they push the natural down so that they can go out there and get the physical. And the physical is the cars, clothes, and houses. Because they've been sold this fictitious dream that, yes, car, clothes, and house and money can get me happiness, when in actuality, none of that, all of that is vanity. But we choose to chase after those things than chase after the nature of our creation, which is being supportive for our man, being a helpmate, being able to reproduce and be able to do the things that we need to do. That is something that we have decided to do, and the hard reality is that most women are going to be single by themselves. A lot of them not going to have any covering. A lot of them not going to have any protection, because they continue to chase after the things of this world. And it's also been the same thing with Gentiles. Gentiles have suppressed the spiritual for the natural, the spiritual for the physical, because they continue to want to live in a lie so they can have the status in the world, so they can have the physical possessions of the world, so they can consider to have the quote-unquote power in this world, so that they will live in a lie or a bubble, not facing reality. So when they decided not to live in reality or not live in the truth, they suppress the truth and live in that lie, which make them do things that are uncommon, unnatural. I was listening to this guy this week, and he said that, do you know that the suntan lotion, when it's put on a European person's body, make it look like they have melanin in their skin? And I didn't do no research on that, but I was going to do some research on that. But the sunscreen that Europeans put on their bodies, it's like a protection from the sun. So what they do is actually put melanin on their skins to protect them from the sun rays that come from the sun. But when we actually, people of color, or if you want to say that, Hebrew people have natural melanin, or sun protected sunscreen. That is natural. That is the melanin of the skin. But a lot of us don't really want to deal with that, or they don't want to deal with that because of the fact is they enjoy the things of the world. They rather keep things suppressed. They rather keep living in a lie, saying that we're this and we're that and we're this and we're that, when in actuality they know who we are, but they choose not to acknowledge it because they want to continue to live in this bubble as if they have the power when they actually don't. So, you know, some guys, I'm going to say something, but some of y'all may not like it, but I'm going to say it anyway, but keep it moving if you don't. It's this guy that come on YouTube called Kevin Samuel. And when he come on television, when he come on YouTube, he's talking about reality and how women is living in this fictitious state, because women are pursuing things and have these ideas about things in life which is not true. And the hard part about it is he's trying to restore relationships in the community, but how some people see how he's trying to restore it, they don't agree with it. And some people don't like what he's saying because it takes away their power. Because they want to continue to live in what they call power, which power is basically an illusion. So when you're looking at this right here in Jeremiah chapter 16, it's based on testimonies. It's based on reality. It's based on honesty. It's based on how people were actually how their eyes will begin to be open because of judgment. Because when you look at the world today, nobody thought that America would ever be the way it is today. Nobody ever thought that America would be getting ready to crumble and fall. Nobody ever thought that. People knew it in the back of their minds that one day this empire will not stand forever. But they just didn't want to face the fact that, hey, it might be in my generations. Because in Exodus chapter 20, it says in Exodus chapter 20, verse 5, it says, Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. Excuse me. See, we're in the third and fourth generation of those people now. We're almost getting ready to go into the fifth generation, but we're in the third and fourth generation of the people who committed the sins. But those people who continue to say that, oh, I did not do it, but it's your father who did it. But that's something that you don't want to face, because you don't want to face that you're part of that generation of the third and fourth people that's getting ready to receive the plagues. People don't want to see that. That's why they continue to say, well, I didn't enslave nobody. No, but your forefathers did. I didn't hang nobody by no tree. No, but your forefathers did. I didn't burn nobody, but your forefathers did. So that you in the third and fourth and fifth generation are going to have to receive the penalties of the punishment that your forefathers did. And that is the hard reality for people. People are going to have to deal with the iniquities of the land. People are going to have to deal with it. And if I may give a title of the text today, is that their eyes are open to judgment. Their eyes are open to judgment. Their eyes are open to judgment. So that's what this is Jeremiah talking about. It's talking about the first part of Jeremiah 16. It's talking about the children of Israel went through whatever they had to go through. And the reality is, man, it's hard to live in reality. It's quote unquote what some people call your truth. It's hard to live in your truth when you're not really ready to live in your truth, and you really are not ready to examine yourself. Because when you're not really ready to examine yourself, you can't live in your truth. But the truth gonna come whether you like it or not. It's gonna reveal itself, and it's gonna reveal itself through testimony. Like I said, a testimony is a solemn declaration usually made orally by a witness under an oath in response to an interrogation by a lawyer or authorized public official. Okay, when you see these brothers on the street corners preaching to the Gentiles or preaching to the people, they're giving the testimonies. They're bringing these people to deal with the truth, deal with the reality, deal with the lies that their fathers have inherited or passed down from generation to generation. When you see these brothers on these street corners and they're talking to these Gentiles or the European people, they're challenging them on their inherited lies that was passed down from generation to generation. But the people who's dealing with the brothers on the street corners really don't want to deal with the truth because they're so comfortable in their skin. They're so comfortable in their reality, so when something new comes to them, they don't want to deal with it because the simple fact is it makes them uncomfortable because the inherited lies that were passed down from so forth and so forth and so forth and so forth. But it got to happen. It has to come to pass. So in verse 16, see, this is a testimony. See, Most High lived off his testimonies. We know not he lived, but we know Most High off his testimony. Testimony, the second part, is a first-hand authentication of a fact. An outward sign. Let's deal with that part of an outward sign. Okay, so what is an outward sign? It's something that you can see with your eyes, right? Okay, and it says, let's read verse 14 and 15. And Jeremiah said, therefore, behold, the days come, said Yahuwah, that it shall no more be said. Listen, Yahuwah liveth that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. He said, nobody going to be talking about that no more because the simple fact is, that's irrelevant. That's way back there in the past. Even when you see Hebrew people, they don't even want to talk about how it was magnificent or how the Most High Spirit moved during the Atlantic slave trade. How we even got to this point here, even having some type of civilizations or civilized living. Nobody gives the Most High credit for that. Because we're looking at that as a past incident or a past event. We're not relating it to our present moment. We're not relating the Atlantic slave trade or slavery in the 14th, 15th, 16th century. We're not relating that to the 17th century. We're not relating that to the Most High. Just like we didn't relate that to the land of Egypt. But verse 15 it says, but on contrary, Yahuwah liveth. He said, I'm still here. I'm still working. I'm still making things happen. That brought up the children of Israel from the land of, he said, but Yahuwah liveth that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north and from all the lands whither he had driven them. Listen, he said, I scattered you to the four corners of the earth. Now I'm going to do some other stuff. I will bring them again to their land that I gave unto their fathers. See, this is going to be a testimony too. And see, that's how people live. People live off other people's testimonies. That's how people live. People get nourishments and food and spiritual help off other people's testimonies. That's what Most High that's what the Most High has given us. Testimonies on what he did for us. And the only way we can see what he did for us from an outward sign. So when we see that, he said, I'm not just going to do that what I did in Egypt. I'm not just going to do what I did in the Americas or the Sahara slave trade. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to do something new. I'm going to give you a new testimony. I'm going to give you a new outward sign. Let's go to Jeremiah 3 and 18. I go to verse 17 first. It says, at the time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahuwah, and all the nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahuwah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after the imagination of their evil hearts, evil minds. In those days the house of Yehuda or Judah shall walk with the house of Israel. And they shall come together out of the land of the north to the land that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. That I have given given to the land of your father as an inheritance. Okay? What land did he give? Let's go to Genesis to be able to understand that. Let us understand, he says, that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers. Who is your fathers? Let's go to Genesis 17, 7 and 8. He's talking to Abraham. And I want us to understand these two verses very good. He said, in Genesis 17, 7 and 8, it says, I will establish my covenant between me and thee, which is Abraham, and thy seed after thee in their generations for an everlasting covenant. This means that that covenant never was broken. This means that that covenant never stopped. This means that that covenant never ended. It's only going to be in when it is fulfilled. That's the only time it will end, only when it is fulfilled. It said, be a heir unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. See, the Most High is still our heir. We just have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that the Most High is still our heir. No one else is ours. It's a personal thing. It's a personal relationship. It's ownership. Verse 8, he says, I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger. Understand that. The land wherein thou art a stranger, and stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting, listen to that, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their heir. Canaan is wherever they're in Palestine at now, or Israel, the West Bank and Gaza. Also over here in the Americas. This land was promised, and when people see us start to go back to that land, or once he starts to renew this land, that's going to be the testimony. They're going to be like, man, wow, for real. There is really, truly a heir. Because the Gentiles don't believe that. They don't really believe that there's an heir. Not the way we believe that there's an heir. Because they still believe that in the rapture. They still believe that they're going to be raptured up out of here, even though they're going to commit over 500 years of sins and brutality and idolatries and all this other stuff. They still believe this. They still think that they can commit all these things upon the earth, and then they're going to be raptured up out of here when it's time to go. They still thinking that in their eyes, so the Most High he got to allow them to continue to walk in their ways, because he's got to bring on the real truth that's going to happen. He got to bring on reality. He got to bring on the judgments. Because a lot of times people right now, right, they talking about this thing that's going on over in China, where they got to close down the cities again in China. Over 50 million people just been shut down again. All the factories and all these things got to be shut down. See, The U.S. just went over to China and told China, if you send some weapons over to Russia, we're gonna put sanctions on you. But not realize, U.S. is not realizing that this is where I get all my stuff from. It's like the United States is biting the hand that feeds them. So the United States is going over there telling China, okay, if you help Russia, we're gonna put major sanctions on you. So what did China do? Okay, we're gonna close down all our factories, so you can't get nothing else from us. They saying, yeah, because of something else, but in actuality, we finna get ready to get starved out. We're getting ready to get starved out. Just like when Nebuchadnezzar surrounded the city of Jerusalem in the first when Daniel then was in there, Dawid was in Jerusalem and they getting ready to get taken to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar surrounded the city and he starved them out and he made the people eat their own children. So since we understand the majority of our sources come from China, we do 70% of importing and 30% exporting. Everybody's starting to cut off their exports so that they could be able to save their food for their people. No more oil is going to be exported to the U.S. No more medicine which China produces coming to the U.S. No more wheat is coming to the U.S. because that's what's going over in Ukraine and Russia right now. No more hardly no rice is going to come. So when we're looking at this, the Most High got to show judgment on the earth so that he can get the people's attention and say everything that I thought I worship, I love, is vanity. I'm in the transportation industry and it's very slow. And how I know when the market is slow is when transportation slows down. So this testimony that the Most High is going to give and bringing us to our new land is not just for us, but it's also for them to recognize that, hey, everything that I did was jacked up. It was useless. It was worthless. Let's go back to Jeremiah. Now let's go to Isaiah 11. See, they want to blame it on something else when it's actually is something else. Just like when you think it's about Russia and Ukraine, when you look at this incident, when you think it's about one thing, it's actually something totally different. You got to read between the lines because it's very deep. It's about revelations. Isaiah 11:11, it says, and it came to pass that day that Yahuwah shall set his hand against the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush and Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. Understand that. Islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah, and Judah shall not envy, and shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines towards the west, and they shall spoil them of the east together, and they shall lay their hands upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them. This is biblical prophecy that's getting ready to happen. And Yahuwah shall utterly destroy the tongues of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hands over the river, and shall smite it within the seventh stream, and make men go over. And thou shalt be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the days that he came up out of the land of Egypt. So, first the Most High got to get a testimony going in order for the people to really truly understand that the Most High really truly exists. And see, a lot of the times, people don't understand that their experience is a testimony for other people, so that other people can come to the Most High. So that their eyes could be open to judgment, whether it's righteousness or wickedness. People have to have a testimony. And see, one thing I learned about the Most High, about me in my life, that he's not going to allow anybody else or anything else to get acknowledgement for what I do. He's not going to allow anything outside of him or the Spirit or the Ruach to get credit for what I have in my life. He's not going to even allow me to do things that I want to do, because the simple fact is, he's going to do them for me so that I can give him the praise. Because sometimes we want to do things that we want to do, but he's not going to allow you to do what you want to do. He's going to make you do what he wants you to do, so that you can turn around and say, thank you, Mohai. Thank you, Abba. And see, a lot of the time, that's how the Gentiles is walking. They have been walking in their own vein, in their own imaginations, and giving themselves the praise and the glory and the honor as if they are doing everything that they do, but in actuality, they're not. That's scripture. That's why the U.S. is so boastful about what they do, because they think that they're doing. She said, I would never be. She said, I will be a queen, never a widow. I always will set myself up high. The U.S. does not see that the Most High have had his hands on this country for a period of time for what's to come. A lot of people in the Americas don't see that. And because they don't see that, they don't see the Most High. But now they're getting ready to see the Most High. Let's go back to Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 17. Verse 16. This is judgment. 16, 17, and 18 is judgment. Testimony's got to be judgments, or penalties, or punishments. Okay? Children of Israel would be restored. The children of Israel will be restored. But also, let's look at this one, the verse 16, 17, and 18. It says, Behold, I will send many. It says, Behold, I will send for many fishers, saith Yahuwah, and they shall fish them. And after will I send for many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain, and from every hill, and out of the holes of the rocks. Because people are going to be running every which way they possibly can from the judgment. It's just like when you see the brothers on the street corners, those are the fishers. Those are the fishers because they are fishing for the children of Israel to come back to who they are. Some people may not like the brothers on the street corner. Some people may not like their tactics. I understand. Some people may not like some of the people on YouTube. I understand. But those are fishers. They're fishing just like Peter was a fisher. He was a fisherman for men. Means that he's going out there to catch people. Those brothers on the street corners are fishermen. They're trying to catch something. They're trying to bring them in. And sometimes the people don't even want to don't want to sit down there and listen. They'll run away. They don't want to hear what they got to say. But they're still doing their part by being the fisher or the fisherman. But also it says, and after will I send many hunters. It's a difference between a fisherman and a hunter. A fisherman goes to save. A hunter goes to kill, to devour. That's what a hunter does. He goes to kill and destroy. It says, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and every hill, and out of the holes of the cliff, out of the rocks. Let's go to Micah 7:2. I'm reading verse 1 and 2. It says, woe is me, for I am as when they have gathered the summer fruits, as grape leaning in the vineyard. There is no cluster to eat. My soul desired the first ripe fruit. Listen to this. This is what a hunter is. The good man is perished out of the earth. The good man is perished out of the earth. And there is none upright among men. They all lie in wait for blood. They hunt every man his brother with a net. It's just like when you look at some of those old slave movies, right? How sometimes they used to catch people by throwing a net around them and then tripping them up and catching them and being able to kill them or send them off into the slave trade. People used to use nets as a tool to catch people and capture them because the net entangles you. The spider web net. If you look at your dollar bill, on the back of the dollar bill, it's a spider web net which entangles you and kills you and strangles you to death. Look at the back of your dollar bill. You'll see the spider has made a net on the back of your dollar bill which entangles you. It strangles you and kills you or even enslaves you. Let's go to Jeremiah 23. This is the punishment. He's going to send fishers. He's going to send hunters. Hunters, fishers are to save. Hunters is to kill and destroy. Jeremiah 23 and 24. I'm going to go to verse 22 first. It's in the reasons, but if they have stood in my counsel and has caused my people to hear my word, then they shall have turned them from their evil ways and from their evil and from the evil of their doings. I am a El at hand, saith Yahuwah, and not a El afar off. Can any hide himself in secret places that I shall not see him? See, they thought they was hiding in those cliffs and those rocks and thinking that the Most High not going to see them. See, they think that they can be doing things and the Most High not see it and bring it to revelation. He said that I shall not see him, saith Yahuwah. Do not I feel heaven and earth, saith Yahuwah? I have heard what the prophet said, that prophesied lies in my name, saying, I have a dream. I have dreamed. Sometimes I tell you my dream. How long shall this be in the hearts of the prophets that prophesy lies? Yea, they are prophets of the deceit of their own heart. Also, let's go to Revelations 18 and 6. I'm going to go back to the verse in Jeremiah 17. It says, for her sins, verse 5, Revelation 18, 5 and 6. It says, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and El has remembered her iniquities. So, do you think that the U.S. can put sanctions on everybody in the world if they don't buy to have the fiat currency? If you don't get the fiat currency, I'm going to put a sanctions on you and starve you out. And some of your people going to die because you don't buy my currency. You don't think that the Most High see that as iniquity? That's the reason why Cuba lived the way Cuba lived, is because sanctions have been placed on them for such a long time. That's why Venezuela has been live the way they live, because of sanctions. That's why all the South American countries live the way they live, because of the sanctions that's been put on them by the U.S. because they don't want to have that fiat currency. Even when Venezuela, what happened in Venezuela is because of sanctions. What's going on now in Russia is because of sanctions. Do you think it's right? What's going on over in Africa is sanctions, and they're telling them, we'll just give you aid. But no, we don't want to send anything to you to help you build up your country, but we'll send you aid. You don't think that's a sin against the Most High? He said, how can you say you love me who you never seen, but you hate your brother who you see every day? See, Esau's still your brother regardless if you like it or not. Verse 6. In Revelation 18 and 6, he said, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she has filled, fill to her double. See, what we get ready to go through here in America, we can never imagine, because the simple fact that it's going to be worse than, everybody been saying it's going to be worse than 1929. It's going to be worse than 1929. It's going to be worse than the Great Depression. So when we look at what happened in the Great Depression, it was a lot of high suicide. It was a lot of suicide. There was a lot of loss of houses and properties and everything. This was still going on at the time of the Tulsa, Oklahoma bombing. The first city to ever be bombed by their own government. This is when Germany had
annihilated and really gave the Tasmanian people the Holocaust. There's no such thing as Tasmanian people no more because the Germans have killed them all off for their lands. And you don't think that the Most High is going to give these people double for their iniquities? They killed over 100 million Indians, not even including the Safari slave trade, the Sahara slave trade, not even including the amount of people they killed over in the Americas after the development of the country. Not even including the people up in Canada, not even including the people down in South America. They're only going to have a testimony or believe the testimony or understand the testimony after they go through their punishment. Let's go back to Jeremiah 16, verse 17. Because it says, I'm going to go back to verse 16 because it says, behold, I will send many fishers, said Yahuwah, and they shall fish them. And after I will send, and after, once he'll gather all the people he wants to gather, that goes in Revelation. That goes into Revelation when he said that the end will come after I have gathered all those who have died from me. I'm paraphrasing, I have to look it up. But that goes into the book of Revelation. They said, how long, Father, will you allow this to happen? How long? He said, until all the martyrs or to all of them have died, who have died, or something to that effect. That's what this one is saying. They shall fish them. And after will I send many hunters, and they shall hunt them from every mountain and from every hill and out of the holes of the rocks. And it says, for my eyes are upon all their ways. That's when the double and the trouble coming in. They are not hidden from my face, neither is their iniquities hidden from my eyes. And first then it says, and first I will recompense their iniquities and their sins double, because they have defiled my land. Listen to that. They have defiled my land. They have filled my inheritance, my people, with carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. In Exodus, the reason why the children of Israel got out of Exodus, got out of Egypt, is because of Exodus 3 and 7. Exodus 3 and 7, and it says, and Yahuwah said, I have surely seen the afflictions of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. That's what Jeremiah 16 and 18 is saying. He said the reason why he's getting ready to do what he's doing is because he just didn't see it in Egypt. He just didn't see it in the Sahara Desert the Sahara slave trade. He just didn't see it in the Atlantic slave trade. Now he see it in the present moment. That's the reason why Putin is saying he's going into Ukraine, because of what the Ukrainians are doing to the Russians over there in Ukraine. He said they ain't no neo-Nazis over there. He said I got to get rid of those people from over there. So it's like the Most High is bringing judgment over there too, because of the cries of the people. Verse 8 in Exodus 3 and 8, it says, for I am come down to deliver them out of the hands of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, a large, and unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. He said, I got to get them into a new place. That's no different than what's going on in Jeremiah chapter 16. Let me read it over, 16 and 18. So he says, at first I will recompense their iniquities and their sins, because they have defiled my land, and they have filled my inheritance with the carcasses of their detestable and abominable things. Verse 17, it says, for my eyes are upon their ways, and they are not hidden from my face, neither is their iniquities hidden from my eyes. So the Most High sees everything. Why? Because he's a spirit. He said the spirit is hovering over the earth. Verse 19. Because of when they see all these things happen, when they see the children of Israel go back into the land, that's a testimony. And when they see their punishment coming in, they ain't going to have no choice but to say what they getting ready to say. You don't think that people are nervous over here in the United States right now? Especially them. You don't think that they're nervous because of what's getting ready to take place on the land? Because everybody knows that they got to, I'm going to just say this. Everybody know you sow what you reap what you sow. Everybody knows that. That's common. That's natural. That's nature. Everybody understands karma. Everybody understands that. So when they see their punishment and they see our testimony, this is why they're going to say what they say in verse 19. This is why they're going to want to worship and throw their feet at us, throw their head at us and want to worship and bow down. This is why they're going to want to do so many things, because they see things that's starting to come to pass. I have a friend, he go to a church, a Hebrew church, and he says he's getting a lot of Europeans to come into his church now and starting to worship at the Hebrew church now because their eyes are open. Their eyes are open to what's real. They know they've been lied to now. They heard. He says some of them have even disconnected from their own families because the families have lied to them about the reality. And I remember I was talking to this one guy on the telephone, and he's from Tennessee, and he said he was raised up in the Catholic Church, and he said, yeah, we was talking, and he said, yeah, the Catholic Church used to teach that black people or Hebrew people grow tails. And I said, really? He said, yep, y'all, the Catholic Church sure did teach that. I said, but in actuality, you know that it's vice versa? He said, no. I said, look it up. He got mad because I said that. Because the truth was hidden from him. When I opened his eyes up to it, he didn't really like it. Because it lets him know that he'd been lied to. See, the harder part of, some people don't mind reality. Men deal with reality. I know that I'm not in some people's level. And I accept that because I know where I am and I'm comfortable where I am. I know I'm striving to be better. But I know I'm comfortable with what I am. I understand me. Everybody can't be Mike. Everybody can't be Kobe. Some people got to be role players. Some people just got to be Indians. That's why they call it the fivefold ministry. Everybody don't have the same gift and talents. See, sometimes when people know their reality, they can play their role, play their part. But when you don't know your role, you can't play your part. You got to know your role in order to play your part. That's why a lot of women are out of order, because they don't know their role. That's why it's a lot of men out of order, because they don't know their role. Verse 19 in Jeremiah chapter 16, it says, "Oh Yahuwah," this is what they're getting ready. This is what Jeremiah is saying. "Oh Yahuwah, my strength, my fortress, my refuge, in the days of afflictions. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited vanity, lies, vanities, and things wherein there is no profit." See, people are still trying to go get money where the money may be gone away in a little while. See, people still trying to go get a whole bunch of money, work for a whole bunch of money, when money may not even have no value no more. They say Putin's going to make so much money off this oil and this war, it's going to be ridiculous. They say war creates finances. Let's go to Jeremiah 3 and 16. I'm about to finish. Jeremiah 3, 16 and 17. And it says, "And it shall come to pass, when ye be multiplied and increase in the lands in those days, saith Yahuwah, they shall say no more, the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. Neither shall it come to mind, neither shall they remember it, neither shall they visit it, neither shall that be done any more. At that time they shall call Jerusalem the throne of Yahuwah, and all nations shall be gathered unto it, to the name of Yahuwah, to Jerusalem. Neither shall they walk any more after imagination of their evil hearts. In those days of Judah shall walk with the house of Israel, and they shall come together out of the land of the north, to that I have given for an inheritance unto your fathers." Let's go back to Jeremiah 16, 19. Let's go to 20. "So shall a man make God unto himself, and they are not gods. He said, they have inherited lies, vanity, things wherein there is no God, no prophets. Shall a man make gods unto himself, and there is no gods? Therefore, behold, I will this once cause them to know. I will cause them to know my hand and my might, and they shall know that my name is Yahuwah." Let's go to Exodus 14. And I'm finished. The harder part about this about life is that the Most High uses us for His purpose. That's the harder part about reality, is that He uses us for His purpose, His glory, and His might. It's never about us. It's always about Him. Because at the end of the day, He wants to get the glory. And that's the hard part about life, but that's when your salvation comes. When your eyes are open to reality. When your eyes are open to judgment. Your salvation comes when everything is, you're walking really in the truth, and you see things for what it truly is. You don't see it for vanity. You don't see it for nothing but the truth. He said, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. That's not just a physical, but it's a spiritual freedom as well. Because when you're set free, that means that you can be who you need to be. You can walk in your purpose, and you can do what your purpose has called you to be. When I used to coach Little League Baseball, one of the best teams that I ever had was a mixed baseball team. I had a couple of people from different nationalities. And when I was able to put the pieces together on that team and put the kids in the right place, everybody was able to play their part the way they're supposed to play their part. Because I had some speed, I had some non-speed, I had people that didn't have speed, but they was very talented with the fundamentals. I had some heavy hitters, but I also had some people who can bunt the ball. That's what the fivefold ministry is about. Everybody doing something to glorify the Most High at the time that he need to be glorified. But see, when you don't want to walk in your truth, you can't be set free. That's why he had to harden Pharaoh's heart in Exodus 14. And 4 it says, and I will harden Pharaoh's heart that he shall follow after them, and I will be honored upon Pharaoh. And upon his host, that the Egyptians may know that I am Yahuwah, and that they so. And they did so. And they did so. And it was told the king of Egypt that the people fled, and the hearts of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people. And they said, why have we done this? That we may have let Israel go from serving us. See, a man is not supposed to serve another man. We don't supposed to serve the Most High. But he had to deal with Pharaoh. He got to deal with these people in charge right now. He got to deal with these people. Because the simple fact is what they have done and what their thought process is about life. About where they are, who they think they is. Who is the United States could tell China that you can't go help Russia, but telling Ukraine they're going to send 800 million. The G7 are telling, okay, we can help Ukraine, but China can't help Russia. Who has that much authority over another man's country to tell him what to do, how to do it, when to do it, where to do it? What kind of thought process is that? That sounds like insanity. This is what Kim Jong-un said, and I'm closing. Kim Jong said this in, when was this? He said this in 2020. This is what Kim Jong said. Kim Jong-un said, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has expressed concern over the way America and the West are toasting Africa. Toasting Africa about. Making the statement, I wonder how the whites successfully convinced Africans that polygamy is a sin but gay is a right. This is what Kim Jong-un is saying. He said, how can America or the West convince Africans, or he said, I wonder how the whites successfully convince Africans that polygamy is a sin, but gay is a right. He says, Africa should learn how to practice their religion until the day that Africans will start practicing it. He says, until the day that Africans will start practicing their own culture, they will never develop. Walking in your truth, walking in your own identity. He said, globalization has never helped any country or continent. So if any Africa must succeed, they should never take global standards as a way of life. Practice what you know best in accordance to your culture. This is what Vladimir Putin said the other day, a couple of years ago. This is what Vladimir, see, and their eyes are opening up to reality. Their eyes are opening up to what's actually going on. That's why they're making all these statements. That's why they're saying all these things. This is what Putin said in 2018. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin, Africa is a cemetery for Africans. He said when Africans become rich, his bank accounts is in Switzerland. He traveled to France for medical treatment. He invests in Germany. He buys from Baidu. He consumes Chinese goods. He pray in Rome or Mecca. His children study in Europe. He traveled to Canada, U.S., Europe for tourism. If he dies, he will be buried in his native country, Africa. Africa is just a cemetery for Africans. How could a cemetery be developed? In my thought process and what Putin was saying is that you're not doing anything for your country, Africans. You're sending all your money everywhere else, but you need to be focusing on you. He said you do everything outside of Africa, but what's going on inside of Africa? See, the Most High have been, and this is in 2018. Wow. This is when a lot of people woke up. In the year 2018, 2017, when I said something about that 2 or 3 weeks ago, 2017, 2018, and 3.5 year, I believe we're in the 3.5 year mark, a lot of people starting to speak up at that time. Because their eyes are open to judgment. That's why I said we're in the 3.5 year mark, because of everybody starting to wake up around 2017, 2018. But Putin put this out in 2018. November. Around the same time that the plagues hit China in 2020. 2019? Yeah, 2019. Yeah, 2019. This was a year before. This was a year before the plagues hit China in 2019. So what am I saying? Their eyes are open to judgment. Salvation comes when you start really facing your reality. You start seeing the testimonies. You start seeing the judgments. That's when you can start worshiping the truth. That's the reason why them boys are going to say what they're going to say. Because they see judgment. You don't think people really trying to... This guy named Off-Grid Prepper, Desert, whatever his name is. Off-Grid Desert Prepper. He always talking about getting those people to turn their life over to Jesus Christ. Because he know that we're in end time. We're in end time. You can see judgment. You can see judgment. Your salvation has come because you see you're dealing with your reality for what it is. Don't run from it. Embrace it. Worship it. Love it. Because it's going to set you free. So that concludes the teaching for today. Let me go ahead and close out and we'll give you a prayer so you can finish the Sabbath. Abba, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Abba, we just thank you for everything you have done. We thank you for what you're doing, Abba. We thank you for your judgments. We thank you for your testimonies. We thank you for allowing us to worship you this day. Abba, we know that we realize and we thank you for letting us walk in our true reality, because our reality sets us free. It sets us free from bondage. It sets us free from idolatry. It sets us free from iniquities.
Allow us to be who you have designed for us to be. Letting us walk in our purpose, because we understand that everybody don't have the same skills and abilities. We understand that some people can just pray, some people can preach, some people can teach, some people can give, some people can just be servants. We understand all these things, Abba, so we just ask that you let us to walk in our reality. Let us be who you want us to be. Also, let us hear the way you want us to hear. Let us see the way you want us to see. Let us speak the way you want us to speak, Abba. Abba, also forgive us for the sins that we have committed knowingly and unknowingly. Forgive our forefathers, forgive our children, forgive all of us, Abba. But Abba, also help those people who are sick. Speak to them and send them a remedy for their sickness. Whether it be mentally, physically, or spiritually, send them a remedy, Abba, so they can be healed in your name. I will continue to protect your people and guide us and lead us and continue to help us to store up for what your judgment is. And all these things we pray in Yahuwah's name, so let it be. Thank you for your time and your energy, for everything. Thank you. And y'all have a blessed one.
Welcome to the end of time, where real love is
Shalom,
hard to find.
shalom.
Losing focus, man, lost in his own mind. All your thoughts is on your 9 to 5. How you gonna live? How you gonna eat? How you all gonna survive? What tomorrow gonna bring is real heavy. You better get prepared, yeah, you better be ready. Life is about to really change for me and you. Wisdom, knowledge, understanding, only thing that's gonna bring us through. Gather together, old nation, that's my desire. Before the Lord rain down with that mighty fire and burn down all the idols and all the liars, all abomination tossed in the lake of fire. I praise the higher for the power that he possessed, to cleanse the earth and bring it back into its fullness. Faith without works, man, that's a holy mess, and you don't wanna have no parts in none of that. So clean your garments, put your breastplate on. Stand up on this battlefield hard and strong. Put no faith in no man stuck in the zone. Everything that he's done has turned out wrong. Abomination, genes, Tyson, yeah, producing clone. Praise the Most High that he never left us alone. Participating on the day when Christ take the throne. And judge us all, you either stand or fall.